all the people that you see. Follow me. Follow me down. Well, just kiss my ass from now on. Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap that notification bell. And like this video. That really does help me keep making videos, and I would appreciate it majorly. So, I'm going to try to put this to bed right now. I'm sick of thinking about this. I do think about it quite a bit. It's my theory about Trump and Hillary fixing the 2016 election and basically both the two of them conspiring to do that. I'm amending that slightly, and basically that, I do think she lost the election on purpose. I do. And but I don't think she did it willingly. She probably, I wasn't necessarily saying that before. I basically was saying, I don't know what I was saying, that they had some kind of business alliance or some kind of unholy alliance, and, she did lose it on purpose. I do believe that. But I don't think she wanted to, and I think she was basically scared into it. And what I believe now, based on some of the things that have come out since the Mueller report was finished, and it doesn't make any difference to me that much. I'm not like, I guess I get an idea in my head and I just, I cling to it. And like any human being, you want to be right. So you try to prove that you're right. But it doesn't affect me, and I voted for Trump, okay? Initially there was a lot of things I liked about Trump. He's doing a lot of good things now. But there's a lot of things, things I don't like too. Part of it is just him having to be, master and be like, everyone has to just bow down before him, and everyone's so petrified of him. Petrified of him. Nobody, is it's not a good thing, and it's just a little too damn nasty. Whatever though, that's not the point of this video. So the point of this video is my theory, which I think that Trump may have had Hillary's emails, the 30,000 emails from the very beginning, okay? And in fact, that might have even been his impetus, his reason for running for election in the first place. And I think the Obama administration might have been wise to this fairly early on, and that's what I mean by some of the latest developments, stuff that's come out since the Mueller report. And these were not huge articles. Nobody paid much attention to them. One is over at the Hill. What's his name? John Solomon, I think is his name. He's a huge Trump supporter. And actually, he's trying to make the case that in this article that the Obama administration was trying to set up Trump and began this fake Russia collusion investigation very early on, which absolutely makes no mathematical sense. Because it's before he was even before the first primary, but that's not really the most important part. Is before Manafort was even his campaign manager or part of his campaign. So, but what I think is this: I think that. Basically, I think that Trump I think the FBI, the Justice Department, might have been spying on Trump for some time, and I think they had surveilled him and had been listening to his conversations and had heard him talking about having the emails, but they didn't have warrants for it, but way back when. They were basically breaking the law. And so I think a lot of what happened, but I think, there's so much, nobody, even with that, they never probably believed he could actually pull it off, that he could actually, win the election just by using that as a wedge all the way. This is before the primaries even began. But I think a lot of the stuff that happened, with Christopher Steele, the former British intelligence agent who was supposedly hired to dig up dirt from Trump, from the Russians or whatever, the dirty dossier and all that. He was hired by Fusion GPS. The meeting with George Papadopoulos and this British professor who's got ties to Moscow, Mifsud is his name, that happened in April 2016. This is all before Trump even has the nomination. I think that was basically trying to, really was creating an excuse to get FISA warrants, or hopefully get Papadopoulos to actually admit, while being recorded, that they have the emails. But it was Michael Steele it was an effort. The Dirty Dossier was an effort to get to create something they could use to get warrants to then legally get Trump admitting that he has the emails. But I think by then, because I do think the Russians were assisting him. I do, and that's where he got the emails from the Russians. That by then, the Russians knew they were doing it and told him. So he stopped. He made sure he never said it, when he was being listened to, when he was actually legally being listened to. And I think, I did such a terrible job of describing that, but I'm so sick of talking about this and thinking about it. I just want to put it out there. This is what I believe, and if you don't believe it, that's fine, and if you love Trump, you're never going to believe it. But I do think, this is what, like this article here by John Solomon is talking about how in January 2016, we haven't even had the first primary. By then, I think Trump had risen in the polls to basically be the leader, but we haven't had even a single primary yet, not Iowa, not nothing. And supposedly the Obama administration is meeting with Ukrainian officials, not Obama himself, I don't believe, just people from his National Security Council, as well as the Justice Department and the FBI. They're meeting with Ukrainian officials, prosecutors, anti-corruption prosecutors. I think multiple meetings, one of which was in, a White House building or something, the old White House building. It's mentioned here in the article. If I get to it, I will. And it was supposed to be about anti-corruption training, a routine thing, and they ended up, but according to some of John Solomon's sources, they ended up talking about, I don't know that Manafort's name was exactly mentioned, but he was part of this. I'll have to read through the article some. But, basically, wanting to reopen the investigation into illegal payments made to certain Americans, one of which was Paul Manafort from 2014, that the FBI had previously already investigated but never brought any charges, okay? My point is that this is before Manafort is even part of the campaign. He hasn't even joined the campaign yet, okay? So how would they even know that he was going to be a future problem if they hadn't already been basically heard this in private conversations that they were listening to, that they were surveilling, illegally probably, of Trump before the primary, and I mean the meeting with Mifsud, who I believe was actually and Alexander Downey, who ends up, Mifsud is a professor from, it's in the Mueller report, professor in London who has ties to Moscow, took a trip to Moscow in April 2016. Then a week or so later meets with Papadopoulos, and according to Papadopoulos, he denies this, but he then goes on to a week later, tell Alexander Downey, the former ambassador to the United Kingdom from Australia, who has ties to the Clinton Foundation, tells him that, he met with this guy, Mifsud, and supposedly, the Russians have dirt on Hillary and her 30,000 emails. And, and basically the Trump campaign's going to get it, something to that effect. And it was a heavy night of drinking or whatever. But why Papadopoulos is meeting with this, with this Alexander Downey, the former ambassador to the UK from Australia, who has ties to the Clinton Foundation, is beyond me. But in my opinion, basically, a couple things. They were basically trying to get Papadopoulos, on the record, being recorded, saying that they have the emails, and also just like along with Christopher Steele, they were trying to create the legal basis to get warrants to listen to Trump, surveil Trump, spy on Trump, and get him on the record legally admitting that he has the 30,000 emails. But in my opinion, by then, I think the Russians probably gave him the heads up, and he knew he did not to say it. So he knew what was going on from that point forward, and he just outmaneuvered Obama and Clinton the entire time, and all these. And at different points in the campaign, the wave just kept building and building, where Trump just kept getting stronger and stronger. And he's literally channeling, sending veiled threats to Hillary Clinton in press conferences during debates, basically saying, you either lose this election, or else I'm going to go public with these emails. Either when you win, and then I'm just going to make your life a hell, and you're going to be, facing. I mean, whatever's in those emails has to be bad. She destroyed them. She's the one who bitted them or whatever to clean her server to get rid of them permanently. But somebody had them. Somebody had already hacked them. The Russians. Okay. So when he's giving this press conference, this is the press conference. I'm going to go to this. This shows, this is some of the numbers. This is why she lost on purpose, okay? It's impossible. The numbers are, it's impossible that she could have done as bad as she did. It's just impossible. I agree that she is a terrible candidate. And I'm glad she lost. I'm almost glad he did this. I've soured on him, but I don't want Hillary. And no matter what, I didn't want Hillary to be president. Believe me. But no matter what, there's just no way she would have come closer if she didn't purposely lose. She couldn't have lost this badly. It's impossible, based on the numbers. It's just impossible. And that's going to bear itself out in 2020. I'm telling you, it's looking like Biden. Biden's the biggest threat. And you know what? Biden probably knows all this, okay? And Trump probably knows Biden knows all this, all right? But, I guarantee you this, even if Biden doesn't lose, he'll come a lot closer than this, man, a lot. It'll be pretty close, probably, even though Biden's got a lot of work to do. Even though, and I kind of like Biden. Biden's very likable, and I am a conservative, but those things just don't matter anymore. That's all baloney. Conservative, liberal, progressive, whatever, Republican, Democrat. They don't care. None of them do. They say those things just because they think that gets us to vote for them. That's it. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. So, but when this is the press conference that he did during the Democratic National Convention, right after email hacked, and he's actually addressing the hack, because people were saying Russia did it and that, indirectly his campaign's behind it, whatever. And in this press conference, he just says, it could be anybody, it could be Russia, it could be China, it could be some guy in his bed. But then in the middle, out of nowhere, he says, and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. He says, Russia, if you're listening, I'll play it for you in 2 seconds. I hope you have the 30,000 emails and, you'll be rewarded mightily. But in my opinion, he's literally warning Hillary Clinton. Okay, and actually, there was an attempt right after he did this to hack Hillary's personal email or her personal campaign's email, whatever. But he's literally warning her. He's telling her, "I have your emails. You either bow out of this campaign, you lay down and lose on purpose, or else I'm going public with it. Or else I'm just, I have them." That's what he's telling her, in my opinion, in this press conference. And throughout the campaign, in the second debate. And I don't actually know when the second debate was. Well, it would have to be after this Democrat National Convention. He talks about the emails relentlessly. And she's scared of him. He is ferocious. He really is. In this press conference, in the debates, I went back and watched these things. I didn't really pick up on how ferocious he is. He's pretty scary, man. He really is. And he scared her. He scared her into losing on purpose and doing this. There's just no way, man. No way she could have lost this badly. She lost every single state that was up for grabs, that he needed to win. And it's not just the fear, the mere fact of losing them. It's how she lost them. I'll show it at the end. I'm not going to dwell on it and whatever. But this is the press conference. Real quick, I'll just play some of these things. I really do think, and what's Obama going to do? I mean, what is Obama going to do? He's going to come out and publicly say, that Trump's got Hillary's emails and that he's using them against her to lose the election. No, he can't do that. Even after he's lost, he doesn't. There was a moment after Hillary lost. He basically said, the reason she lost is because she never even went to this state, and he was indirectly saying she lost on purpose, in my opinion. That she never even he went all over the state in Iowa. He had many visits to Wisconsin and so forth, Michigan. It's a joke, man. How bad she lost. But he's literally warning her, you bow out or else, in my opinion, or else, But how would Obama even know? Okay, Trump is, how would he even know Manafort was going to be a problem? Manafort hadn't even joined his campaign from this article. Let me quickly just read through some of it so you understand what I'm saying. I don't even know. I think this is I don't know which official this is in this interview. And I don't feel like getting copyrighted. So, all right. As Donald Trump began his meteoric rise to the presidency, the Obama White House summoned Ukrainian authorities to Washington to coordinate ongoing anti-corruption efforts inside Russia's most critical neighbor, Ukraine. The January 2016 gathering, confirmed by multiple participants and contemporaneous memos, brought some of Ukraine's top corruption prosecutors and investigators face-to-face with members of former President Obama's National Security Council, FBI, State Department, and Department of Justice. The agenda suggests the purpose was training and coordination, but Ukrainian participants said it didn't take long during the meetings and afterwards to realize the Americans' objectives included two politically hot investigations, one that touched Vice President Joe Biden's family and one that involved lobbying firm linked closely to then-candidate Trump. U.S. officials kept talking about how important it was that all of our anti-corruption efforts be united, said Andriy Teleshenko. I don't know if this is Andriy Teleshenko. I think it is. And he's then a political officer in the Ukrainian embassy in Washington tasked with organizing the meetings. Actually, I think this guy's a former prosecutor who ordered his people not to release this black ledger documents that basically had records of illegal payments to Manafort from people inside Yanukovych's administration, something like that. And that was the 2014 election investigation that was investigated by the FBI, but charges were never brought against Manafort. And some of these Black Ledger documents in May of 2016, right after Manafort joined his campaign, were leaked. Okay, against the prosecutors, explicit orders not to do that. And the suggestion in this article is that was to, set up this, it was the beginning of the Russia hoax investigation. What I'm saying to you is how in the hell would the Obama administration even know in January of 2016 when Manafort hadn't even joined the campaign, and the DNC hadn't even been hacked yet and nothing's been hacked. And, keep in mind, like even the DNC hadn't been hacked. When Papadopoulos met Mifsud and then went on a week later or so to meet with Alexander Downey. Hopefully you're keeping track of all the people I'm talking about. So U.S. officials kept talking about how important it was that all our anti-corruption efforts be united, said Andriy Teleshenko. Teleshenko, who no longer works for the Ukrainian embassy, said U.S. officials volunteered during the meetings, one of which was held in White House's old executive office building, that they had an interest in reviving a closed investigation into payments to U.S. figures from Ukraine's Russia-backed Party of Regions. That closed investigation was the 2014 investigation where Manafort was investigated. That 2014 investigation was led by the FBI and focused heavily on GOP lobbyist Paul Manafort, whose firm long had been tied to Trump through his partner and Trump pal Roger Stone. Agents interviewed Manafort in 2014 about whether he received undeclared payments from the party of ousted Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, an ally of Russian Vladimir Putin, and whether he engaged in a proper lobby and whatever. So Teleshenko said he couldn't remember whether Manafort was mentioned during the January 2016 meeting, but he and other attendees recalled DOJ officials asking investigators from Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau if they could help locate new evidence about the Party of Region's payments and its dealings with the Americans. That's Manafort. It was definitely the case that led to the charges against Manafort and the leak to the U.S. media during the 2016 election. The leak was May of 2016, okay? Not like sometime after. May of 2016, before the DNC hacks, okay? What I'm saying is they already knew. The Obama people, Hillary people, they knew Trump had Hillary's emails because they were probably surveilling him illegally, and they were trying to trying to take him out before he got too strong, and also at some point there were just multiple different avenues going on at once, but like the Christopher Steele, the former British intelligence officer who was, employed to create the dirty dossier, those things were like basically, like I said in the very beginning, I'm repeating myself, setting up, trying to get a legitimate warrant to listen to Trump and get him on tape legally while they're legally surveilling him, admitting that he has the 30,000 emails. But like I said, I'm repeating myself again, I believe by then because Russians had figured this out, and they told Trump, and so he never did. He was Trump was always one step ahead of him, and just outfox these people the whole time. So that makes the January 2016 meeting one of the earliest documented efforts to build the now debunked Trump-Russia collusion narrative, and one of the first to involve the Obama administration's intervention. It's impossible. It's January 2016. He hasn't even had one single primary yet, unless they knew he was talking about the 30,000 emails, because they had been spying on him illegally for probably some time. Well before January 2016, spokespeople spoke, but he started to become a threat when he rose to number one in the polls. He still hasn't won a primary though. Spokespeople for the National Security Council, DOJ, and FBI declined to comment. A representative from former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice did not return emails seeking comments. Ukraine's chief corruption prosecutor told me he attended some, but not all of the January 2016 Washington meetings and couldn't remember the specifics. But he said he soon saw evidence in Ukraine of political meddling in the U.S. elections. Kolodnitsky, that's the Ukraine's chief anti-corruption prosecutor, Nazar Kolodnitsky. Kolodnitsky said the key evidence against Manafort, a ledger showing payments from the Party of Regions, was known to Ukrainian authorities since 2014, but was suddenly released in May 2016 by the U.S.-friendly NABU. That's the National Anti-Corruption Bureau or something. National Anti-Corruption Bureau. Ukraine's national. So, again, it's just the timing that how would they even know? In January, Paul Manafort hasn't even joined yet unless they had already been spying on Trump. And basically I'm saying that, Trump had the emails, and he basically scared her into purposely losing the election. And Obama probably never knew. All this time it's just building and building and building, but nobody really knows that she's losing on purpose, except her, because, and people close to her, and they don't know that she's doing it purposely. They just think she's inept. She's not lazy, okay? I'll get to the numbers at the end, and then I'll just end this and then be done with it. All right, but this is what I think happened.
I will tell you this. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. Let's see if that happens. That'll be next. Yes, sir.
That'll be next.
The C-SPAN.
So, I mean, there's just moment after moment. I mean, the emails, that's not huge. I understand the emails was a huge topic in the campaign. Naturally, I mean, if I was running against her, I would bring it up again and again. I'm just saying this other stuff with this, he convinced her to lose on purpose. That's my theory.
Unlike the Bernie Sanders race where you won, but not fair and square, in my opinion. And all you have to do is take a look at WikiLeaks and just see what they said about Bernie Sanders and see what Deborah Wasserman Schultz had in mind. Because Bernie Sanders, between superdelegates and Deborah Wasserman Schultz, he never had a chance. And I was so surprised to see him sign on with the devil. But when you talk about apology, I think the one that you should really be apologizing for, and the thing that you should be apologizing for, are the 33,000 emails that you deleted and that you acid washed. And then the 2 boxes of emails and other things last week that were taken from an office and are now
I think even later, he mentioned it on and on.
You delete 33,000 emails, and then you acid wash them or bleach them, as you would say, a very expensive process. So we're going to get a special prosecutor, and we're going to look into it, because you know what? People their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done, and it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, I want to follow up on that. I'm going to let.
And then, here he just flat out.
It is. It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
He just hammers her to death, and naturally he would. But in my opinion, this 2016 meeting, these early meetings, where it seemed like they were trying to entrap the members of the Trump campaign, all right? And they were beginning discussions about it, The only way they would be doing that is if they knew something. And what I think they knew is they knew Trump had Hillary's emails. They had been spying on him illegally so they heard him saying it, They knew Manafort was going to become his campaign manager. They knew that ahead of time. And the only reason they could know that was by spying on him illegally. So all this other stuff was, meant to just get warrants so they could listen to him legally and get him on tape saying it legal, when they were surveilling him legally. But by then the Trumps had given him, this is the third time I'm going over this, giving him a heads up. And so he knew he was being surveilled. He probably knew the Trump Tower meeting was being, was being watched in a setup. And he just outmaneuvered him the entire way. So this is just the numbers, okay? And this isn't Trump Hillary. This is Obama Hillary. This is Obama 2012. This is Hillary 2016. She lost so badly, okay? It's just not possible. And I don't even have the primary results. I should bring that up real quick. The primary between those two was extremely competitive, all right? And I hope they have the numbers here pretty. It's, 51, 49. It was down to the wire to nearly to the end. I mean, she eventually conceded because he had her beat and he had all the super delegates came to him, whatever. But it was very competitive. My point being that there's no way she should have lost as bad as she did in this election, and she served loyally as his Secretary of State, always being very loyal and respectful to Obama. He campaigned hard for her. She lost on purpose. She did. There's no way. Some of these numbers are staggering, in Ohio, getting 500,000 less than Obama in 2012, all right? 500,000 less. That's like, percentage-wise of this number, that's like 20%, man. 20% less, okay? Iowa is like, extremely dependent on immigrant labor. This state would have been so easy for her to win. The primaries, I saw them. They were so worried. Farmers were so worried about, Republicans, which Republican candidate was going to be hard on immigrant, labor, and immigration. And yet Hillary lost she got 200,000 less than Obama. Again, what's that? That's like it's not quite 30%, 25% less. Wisconsin, look at another. I mean, it's 300,000, but it's out of 1.62 million, so 300,000 again, 25% less. But it wasn't every state. Michigan, Michigan would Obama would have beat Trump, Obama killed it in Michigan, whatever, but Trump's not going to win in Michigan again, believe me. If Biden, and I agree, Biden is shaky. He needs to clean it up if he even has a prayer of winning, and he could. You'd be surprised, man. If I'm right about this. But Trump is so strong right now. He is so strong. He's been president for 4 years. He's masterful now, and he's just so tough. And then the economy's really good, but who knows? But he's not going to win Michigan again, and he's not going to win Pennsylvania again. If Biden, same thing. Biden's going to win Pennsylvania right out of the chute. Right out of the chute. That's why Trump is talking about Biden. That's the one he's worried about. One, because of everything I just told you, because Biden would know all this, and I believe he does. But two, because, right out of the chute, day one, Iowa, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, they're gone. Wisconsin, look at Wisconsin versus Obama versus Hillary. She just lost so badly. If she wasn't trying to lose, there's just no way she would have come so much more closer. The only state, for some reason, in Florida, she actually gained over Obama handily. By 300,000 votes, okay? Obama had 4.2 million. Hillary got 4.5 million. But it also happens to be a state that Trump did really well. Don't get me wrong. Trump did astronomical numbers in many of these states. I'm just saying Hillary intentionally did as bad as she possibly could. But not in Florida. But one state where Trump absolutely killed it was Florida. And it was almost like they knew that state was in the bag, I don't know if these two campaigns were communicating. I seriously doubt it. I think he just scared her into losing on purpose. Maybe there was a conversation very early on, from one person to another person that could never be proven. If you look at California, she actually gained 1 million votes over Obama in a state she didn't need. There are other reasons for that. Some of those are Romney voters, all right, that basically didn't want to vote for Trump, so they moved over and voted for Hillary. But why didn't they do that in these other states? It's almost like they spent money in a state. They allocated resources in a state, in Florida and California, where they knew for certain that they weren't going to lose because Florida was in the bag and because Florida's so corrupt. And then, actually that's where the Russians hacked the machines too in Florida. And, there's Broward County and other things. And that's my story, man. That's my case. I did a lousy job, but I'm sick of thinking about this and I think about it all the time. There's more to it, but that's enough. That's my theory. And that's the story there, man. All right, thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below, and I will see you in the next video. Later, man.